In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Cogent DataHub to track your server health information using the System Monitor feature. I want to track some information about the health of a server, specifically the memory usage, available disk space, CPU usage, network utilization, and even the internal temperature of the computer. Last, I'm also going to show you how to track properties of a specific process, such as if the process is running and how much memory that process may be using. So first thing, open up your DataHub and go to the System Monitor section. I'll go over the general properties first. So first we need to enable system monitoring. Then we need to specify a data domain or group where we're going to put the data. In this case, we're going to put our data in a group called System. We're going to poll the operating system every second for updates for all the values. If a parameter is invalid, we'll set it to -1, and we'll set the quality to bad. There are ways to remove certain special characters that may give your OPC clients or other clients issues when reading from the DataHub, so I've removed all special characters, even including spaces. So let's get started. If we click the Select from List, you will see the counter level detail. I always choose Wizard because it gives me the most options. So let's start with looking at available memory usage. So that is under the memory section. So if I scroll up here till we see memory, and what we're looking for is, let's see, available megabytes. All right, now we're tracking the available memory on the computer. That is the available RAM, to be specific. Next, let's go to the logical disk section, and let's look at, in this case, let's highlight the logical disk. We're going to do the C drive, and then we're going to scroll down until we find free megabytes. So now we're looking at the free megabytes on my C drive. Next, let's look at the processor utilization. So if we find processor here, and we're going to do the total processor, and we're going to do the processor time. So percentage processor time. Click Add. So this is of all the 4 cores that I have. What's the CPU utilization? Let's scroll back up until we find network interface. Let's do this for the Ethernet connection, which is the onboard Ethernet on my laptop. We're going to do the bytes received, the bytes sent, and the total bytes. Perfect. The last piece of information I want to track on the server health is the temperature on this laptop. Now, not all computers give you their temperature. I do know the Lenovo laptops do. So let's go to thermal zone information, and let's find the temperature. Click Add. Okay. And the last thing I want to add is the specific information on a process. So if we scroll through this list until we find process, so if we click on the process here, we'll see all the available processes that are running on my computer. If we scroll down, I want to use server runtime. This is our top server process. This will tell me if the process is running or not. So the way to tell if the process is running is just to look at the process ID, okay? If you're not tracking anything else about that process. If you were tracking other things about the process, then you could choose any one, and if the process stopped, then you would see that value go to -1. We're also going to track the working set, which is basically the memory used by the top server. So now that we're done, we've added everything we want. We can click Close, we can click Apply, and we can open up the View Data. When we open up View Data, you can see we have this System section here with all the different types of tags we've added. I guess the first we'll look at, since it's right here staring us in the face, is the temperature information. So this temperature is measured in degrees Kelvin, and that is a simple conversion to get it to Fahrenheit or Celsius. It's pretty much a simple mathematical equation. I know with Celsius you just subtract a certain number. Next, let's look at the free bytes. So it looks like I have roughly 300 gigabytes of free space on this computer. If we go and look here, I'll pull this over. You can see my C drive does have around 300 gigabytes of free space. If we look at memory, I'll bring up my task manager for that piece, and we go to performance, and you can see my available memory is around 9 gigs, which makes sense. 8 to 9, that's about what I have free right now. Okay, let's look at what else do we have. The network utilization. So this, we can look at the Ethernet to sort of compare the two. Fortunately, this isn't the best view, but you can see here as the total drops up and down, the trend updates, and you could track this to see what your network utilization was for the day. Let's close this. We'll get back to that one. Processor time, we're using about 15 to 25% of our CPU. And last but not least, we'll look at the top server process specifically. So let's open back up Task Manager. And I want to show you what happens when we stop the process from running. So if we find the server runtime and we end the task, you'll notice that both of the values go to -1. Top server spun back up pretty fast. Let's try that one more time so you could make sure you see that. We end it. Value should go to -1 briefly, and then they spin back up. Basically, we have a client connected to top server, so it's always going to come back up and online. But if you were monitoring for that -1, you could send an email alert and say that the top server process stopped, or you could log that data to a database. In fact, all of the values that we have here can be historized with DataHub and put into a database. You can use any of the features of the DataHub once these values are in the DataHub. So we could say log it to a database, send an email alert, or just display it in our HMI or SCADA. Now in this video, we tracked some server health information, including the available memory or RAM on the computer, the available disk space, as well as the network utilization, the temperature, and how much of our CPU we're using. I also showed you how to track a specific process and see if it's up and running and see what memory it's using.